an opportunity knocks your door, even if you don't know how to do it, say yes and figure it out. But know your customer and try own your customer, right? Just don't depend on anyone to get your customer, which is why I go into retail. But when you change the narrative in your mind and when you change the narrative out there, it changes a lot. Sometimes you live in this narrative that this is the best way to do it, but a lot of it is within you, right? What do you enjoy doing? Try and do that initially, because you never know, you'll make a career out of that, and there's nothing wrong in that, because you'll wake up excited about what you want to do. I wouldn't say I feel successful all day every day, but what I try and do is I try and always go back to gratitude. When you try and be grateful for what you have, then I think that's more than enough, because there's no real measure of success.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just have a favor to ask before we begin. If you've been enjoying these conversations and want more stories that redefine success, please do us a massive favor and hit the subscribe button over on our YouTube channel. It literally takes 2 seconds to do and is completely free. It's a small gesture, but it makes a massive difference for us as it really helps us to grow the show. And with that, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome back to the Quest for Success podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in once again. Today on the show, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we're joined by Jaynish Dodhia, who is, I would say a global entrepreneur. He's, worked across Kenya, now in Dubai, UK. He's, done so much work across the world, and I'm really excited to get his global perspective.
And I had the privilege of meeting Jaynish at Harvard Business School, and I would say one of my closest mates. We always had a good time having a chat with him. He's a very got a very spirited, he's have that entrepreneurial spirit in him. So it's always nice to have a chat. And thank you, Jaynish, for joining with us.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for the kind words. Of course, very grateful. So thank you, Jam, and Dylan. And I look forward to speaking to you guys today.
So, Jaynish, this podcast is all about success. And so we need to start with a very fundamental question. And that is, what does success actually mean to you?
So, of course, very deep question. I think success is relative. It's a combination of the business side of things and the personal side of things, and how you can kind of marry the two.
Hmm.
I've grown up in a business family, and so I've seen entrepreneurship all my life. A lot of the conversations at dinner or growing up was around business, what we're doing, what's going on. And so, from the business point of view, I think success is always clearly defined by goals. You'd have your budget, you'd have your targets, and are you meeting them? And that's a easier definition of success. But I think more so, life is more important, right? So how do we get a balance of the two, and how do we get our personal goals and business goals to kind of meet somewhere? And actually, ever since Harvard Business School, I've been trying to focus a lot more on that, in terms of how do you bring the two together. And I spoke about this to a lot of my team initially, where we did this core values exercise at HBS, where they put us together into a living group of 8 people, and just asked everyone in the room, like, give me a word or 2 words that relate to you, and to me that was an amazing exercise, because I'd never done it in such a structured manner before.
Yeah.
And once we did that at HBS, and just showed how 8 strangers could end up leaving as family, it's the first thing I went and did back in the business. And once we set out those values, actually led to me making a lot of changes based on those values. So yeah, I think it's a deep question. So,
Yeah.
but success to me is basically, how do you marry the two,
Yeah.
both on the business side and the life side.
And you mentioned their values, and it sounds like you're very, values driven, both in the organization and in your own life. What are the values that you try and stand by?
So definitely trust both ways, you know. To me, trust and integrity kind of mean the same thing, but I think it's very important to kind of have an ethos of that, especially for me. Um, because of my upbringing and good fortune, I've never really wanted to approach life where I want to do something or gain benefit out of misleading someone or doing the wrong thing, you know? So I try and live by that. As much as possible, of course, and hope to get the same back from others. You know, so I would say trust for sure. If we're in the work context, then good communication, positive attitude, courage. I think a lot of my life experiences. And work experiences have never really, it's never a straight line, right? It's always up and down.
Yep.
And the only thing that takes you from that down bit to the up bit is courage. And then one more thing is hope. You know, one of our professors at
Yeah.
HBS, Anand Raman, for 3 years kept on telling us hope isn't a strategy,
Yep.
and then did this mind blowing lecture at the end where he said, "Look, hope is sometimes the only strategy." So. I think hope is nice because it's that illusion that you create or that cloud you create that look, something will figure itself out, you know? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
integrity, hope, trust, good communication. I'm one where even with the team or even with my friends, I try and just basically make things as clear as I can, you know?
Absolutely.
So everyone knows where they stand.
Yeah, no, I think
Very
that's a
nice.
fantastic trait to have. And for us to understand, the man who we're talking to now, I want to understand your early upbringing. You mentioned it a few times there that it's been, obviously shaped you a lot. Can you take us through your early childhood and how you think your parents, especially, have shaped the man you've become?
Yeah, so I'm born into a Gujarati family in Kenya. We're
All
third
right.
generation in Kenya, originally from Jamnagar in Gujarat. So recently the Ambanis put Jamnagar on the map. So now I say it very proudly. Before that, it was like, where the hell is that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so on my father's side, my grandfather moved to Kenya, and on my mother's side, my grandfather was actually born in Kenya,
Oh wow.
and that culminated from the British colonization. And so that's how they came in. On my father's side, my grandfather started with a shop selling sodas,
All right.
and went on to have 8 children. My father being the youngest of them. And so on that side, I come from an extended family of today probably 60 or 70 members, you know?
Wow.
And then on my mother's side, my grandfather started as a truck driver
Uh-huh.
and he used to transport vegetables. So both started from bottom up, but then went on to do many things. So coming back to my life, I was born in 1988. I grew up in Kenya. Initially grew up in a very joint family environment for I would say the first 16 years of my life. And then personally, I went on to boarding school. So I went to boarding school in the UK.
All right.
I did my undergraduate there, and then moved back and joined the family business initially. But in 20, I would say when I got back, we basically did an amicable split at my father's generation. And so I kind of started my career working under my dad, but then very quickly realized that I wanted to go off on my own. So requested him for some seed capital, which he helped me with, and started my first company.
What was your dad doing, Janish?
So my father has been into real estate development. That's where the family business has come from as well. That's always been the core business. But we've done a bunch of things in the journey. We've done trading of many different categories. So we've done chemical trading, we've done FMCG trading, we've done printing manufacturing, um, we've done tissue paper manufacturing, we've done IT. So we had an IT company where we
Very
got the first
diverse.
license for WiMAX. WiMAX was a technology initially when 3G just came about. and we were the first to get licensing for that. Um, and so yeah, it's like business is in the blood in the sense from my dad's side and my mom's side actually. My grandfather on my mother's side owned a transport business initially and then set up a steel wool manufacturing plant. So, steel wool is used to
Yeah.
clean utensils.
Yeah.
But while doing all that, it was always make money in your trading business or your industry business, but invest it in real estate.
Mm.
And that was the two. And so that's the core really. I always tell people now that actually it was always real estate,
Yeah.
and I've done it 360 and all the stuff I do, especially since moving to Dubai, I'm like core focus is real estate.
Wow.
Um, because that's where I get most satisfaction actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I want to know, like, growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, did you always think to yourself, I'm going to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know if I thought that. It was just like it was within me, right? Hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in fact, I started my first company when I was at university. And a lot of gratitude goes to my father because most our conversations were, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" But then it was always about business or about this idea or that idea, right? And when I was about, I would say, 18 and just out of boarding school, there was this whole online wave that had started, or I was well into it, and I set up my first online company. It was a job website,
All right.
and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Naukri.com in India.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
a
So
big job
that's
portal, and so I set up one for Kenya.
all right.
Right.
Uh, so while I was at uni, and then I set up something like Auto Trader for Kenya.
Oh, yeah.
Both failed because I gave up too quickly. But yeah, that was my first personal entry
yeah. Yeah.
into the world of business. But yeah, coming back to your question, so now there's a clear definition of entrepreneurship, but for me it was just like that was the only thing I knew how to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So studying overseas, when you came back to Kenya, did you see a different way to do things?
yeah, so I think the two most important moments in my life that shaped my mindset was one was boarding school and two was Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
And both for similar reasons. So, growing up in a family environment in a country like Kenya, I think life was very sheltered, and so going to boarding school put me outside of that comfort zone, but it also showed me that there's a whole world outside of Kenya. And the boarding school I went to is a school called Millfield. It's actually known to be one of the best sports schools in the world.
Right.
And it was set up for dyslexic children
All right.
by Indian Maharajas. Because back in the day, there was no definition of dyslexia, right? You were either slow or
Yeah.
or whatever term was given to you. But those guys believe that there's an art in everyone, right? And it's about extracting that.
Yep.
And today we know that dyslexic people are actually some of the most successful in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I don't suffer from that, but that's the kind of the ethos of the school. So that actually changed my perspective on what's possible. I was in school with very talented kids. So 40% of kids were given scholarships. So they were not from
Oh.
successful backgrounds or yeah, just they were not from golden spoon families, where and 60% were from like industrialist families, or we had a Saudi prince. Um, we had very talented sports parents, kids. We had P.S. Brosnan's son.
Wow.
Um, so very, very cool mix. And I'd never seen that before, right? So that was like, wow, there's a whole world outside of Kenya. So I think indirectly that kind of shapes you, where it changes the limitations you have in your mind that, wow, anything's possible.
Yep.
And that gave me the early experience of dealing with multicultural people, from diverse backgrounds. So yeah, I'd say Millfield for sure, and then of course I'd love to talk about HBS as we go along in this conversation.
Absolutely. And we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I want to go back
Yeah,
to, you mentioned that you kind of broke away from the family business and wanted to start your own enterprise. Got some seed capital from your dad. What was the vision when you set off on that journey? What were you trying to create and do differently?
So I'll be honest, I didn't know much then, right? One thing I knew that if I continue, I struggle to take direction on my ideas from anyone, okay?
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that if I'm going to try and work under my father's wing, it's going to lead to conflict. And we understood that very quickly because both have great ideas. We're both ideas people, and uh, execution can happen in different ways, right? You can execute the same thing in many different ways. And so, to be fair to him as well, he was always encouraging of the fact that, look, what we're doing is already there, but then do something for yourself. So
Mhm.
I looked at two avenues. One was I had a friend from school at boarding school who used to be one of the largest electronics traders in Spain, white goods. So kettles, irons, toasters.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who owned one of the largest retailers in Kenya. And so I said, okay, fine, let me find a way to put this together, right? So I got some seed capital from my father and started that business. Went and imported like 10 containers of different FMCG goods. Um, and went on to start hiring my first few employees and building that out. But very quickly I faced a legal case. So an international brand sued me for some name infringement kind of thing, where
Yeah.
where it wasn't really a name infringement, but I didn't know anything, right? And I didn't have the connections to fix that problem.
Yeah.
At the same time, one family friend dropped home some towels. And so the towels, 3 boxes of amazing towels were sitting there, and he used to export these towels from Kenya. And at the time, we just realized, look, why are people going out of Kenya, filling their bags with towels, beddings, all the soft furnishings, and coming back, right? When Kenya is producing this.
Yeah.
Mm.
So while I was struggling with the legal side on the electronics business, I said, okay, let me pivot and explore this towels business. And so quickly made a deal with the guy. Look, let me be your local guy. You're exporting everything. Let me pick up your local distribution. And that's how actually a company called Red Star International, which I still run today,
Oh.
really took shape. And we then kind of pivoted into home furnishing. So I liquidated all my stock in the white goods, shifted the cash into towels, hired someone from India who was from one of the large towel manufacturing units, and then said, let me see how I can build this out. Now, this goes back to when I was at school, at boarding school. I used to love walking around London. And what I loved about walking around London was how they do retail.
Mhm.
Um, and there was a store called John Lewis. I don't know if you guys have ever been
Mhm,
there,
mhm.
but it's incredible. And I used to spend a lot of time in John Lewis. So my vision was, how do I bring John Lewis to Kenya
Mm.
in my own way? Um, And so that kind of made life easy because I knew the product mix I
Yeah.
wanted to curate. And it was endless. It was like 10,000 SKUs. Um, and so, yeah, just started looking at how do I source these products, and figured out the supply chain for the home furnishings was a lot of it was in India. And then actually took a trip to China. So this was probably when I was 24 years old, went to China for a month. And there's something called the Canton Fair,
Yep.
which everyone should go to, you know.
Yep.
Uh,
We are going this year.
it's oh wow,
I'm taking
amazing.
Dylan first time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's literally like if you're a business person and you want ideas, just go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you'll think of like 10 hustles even in 2 days. Um, and so I went there, and that was my first experience of dealing with Chinese manufacturers and Chinese suppliers, and started. Now, all this I was doing with the largest retailer in Kenya. And we built a private label program for them. And within, I would say, 2 years, became one of their top 10 suppliers.
Nice.
Now, 2016, the retailer started facing issues. and I was just doing private label for them. Now, deep down, I knew my biggest issue in this business is I'm fully dependent on one
Yep.
customer.
All eggs in one
Um,
basket. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right. But I thought, look, these guys are so big, they're too big to fail. And I'm just a small piece in this big ecosystem. I was definitely wrong. Um, in 2017, these guys literally went under.
Hmm.
Wow.
And that was my first experience of verge of bankruptcy. So I built this beautiful brand for them, private label program, doing fantastically well, built a team of 60 staff, and they were gone, literally. And yeah, so that was my first experience of failure, like serious failure, right? Now I'm staring at paying off. How do I pay off my suppliers? I don't have any income stream. But, there's always, I believe in God, and I believe there's always the universe and God to help you. So luckily I wasn't in FMCG, so my products can't expire. So I pulled out whatever stock I could, and renamed the brand Home and Beyond.
All right.
Uh, so in our warehouse now we're like changing packaging up, uh, with the support of my brother and my parents. My brother actually, I was devastated at the time, right? Like I was like, I didn't know what the hell had hit me. And thankfully he was okay because he didn't have any sentimental attachment to the business. And so he's like, get on with it. And he went and signed a lease for me at a store. And so, yeah, we actually opened our first Home and Beyond store. This was probably, I'd say 2018, 2018, and started retail. Now, the first thing I had to do was I had to raise cash.
Hmm.
Because thankfully, look, we had to let a few people go, but we tried to keep a lot of our team. My team at the time was very supportive of me. And we did the big sale. We just did a big sale, and just like literally I was downstairs, so the store was on the third floor of like a strip mall, and literally the team was down, I was down just promoting, like, guys, come up. It's the same stuff you used to get at this retailer on offer.
Yeah.
And literally was talking to, I don't know, 100 200 customers a day, like, guys, come up, guys, come up. Now I knew the product was amazing, right? And so now these guys were getting it at a serious discount. It was just me explaining that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we did that, raised the cash to clear off all our creditors. Proudly say, like, we didn't take a cent from anyone, managed to pay off
Nice.
everyone. And then 2019 was just a year of just consolidating, doing a little bit of trading. So I'd gone literally from doing what, $8 million a year to like a million.
Wow.
But it was about survival.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that happened. And then
So,
2020, so
what? Sorry, Janish, I was going to ask, what was the biggest lesson that you learned from that uh, um, huge failure?
never have your eggs in one basket. Um, uh, Step three was own the brand, have some kind of IP. I didn't have IP in that business.
Yep.
I was literally like not an incubator, but I'm not getting the word, but literally I was just a middleman of branding it for someone and selling it in someone else's shop. And then fourthly was just don't depend on anyone to get your customer, which is why I got into retail.
Mm, mm, mm,
So the supermarket business, I knew deep down this is the end of it, like for me, especially in
mm,
a market like Kenya, because
mm.
supermarkets, it's a simple model. They use traders' cash flow
Yep.
to grow their business. And I wanted to take things in my own hands. And the only way I could do that was with retail, right?
Mm,
I cut out the cash flow cycle by 90 to 120 days.
mm, mm,
And finally, of course, this is what I learned at Harvard, but know your customer and try own your customer, right? When I was doing the trading business, I had no relationship with my customer directly. Whereas in retail, we've been able to build that. So I'd
mm.
love to tell you where that journey went, because it's
Yeah,
it's
please.
now
Yeah.
done a full 360.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
COVID happened, and COVID, and I'll tell you a very cool story at COVID is when we acquired the hotels. But in COVID, I'd given up on this business. Literally, I was like, "What the hell am I doing? I'd done $8 million once. Now we're doing this. Let's just liquidate our stock and wind it up." Um, so I continued to liquidate my stock. churn, like just basically ran that business as efficiently as I could, right?
Yeah.
So I love what Warren Buffett says, keep your overheads low because you're good in the good times, you're good in the bad times.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And then again, the entrepreneurial bug in me was still eating at me, and took a chance in I would say mid 2021, just before I went to HBS. Took a chance and opened my first store at the largest mall in Kenya.
Right.
It was a 1,500 square foot store. Just opened it, got it going, and then went off to HBS. And at HBS, we had a professor called Linda Applegate.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in her classroom, and to be fair, honestly, HBS, the fees to me was a lot because now I was funding all this myself. And I'd never thought I'd be paying fees like this in my life, right? So I'm sitting there scratching my head that you're running this small business, and here you are sitting at Harvard. Um, and she said something, and honestly, Harvard changed my life, right? Just the way they got you thinking. Like she was like, think 10x of your business. If you apply yourself in this program properly, you guys will have paid off this program even by the time you finish. And just me starting to think 10x, we did a couple of strategy exercises with defining your vision, defining your mission, and that core values exercise. And honestly, I'd never done any of this properly. Um, and so I did it. And I went back and the team was like, what's happened to this guy? And straight away started looking for more stores and opened another one and another one. And I'll fast forward that journey because I can talk to you about this the whole day, right? But today we're at 10 stores.
Wow.
Nice.
And yeah, with the grace of God, with the support of my team, we're like probably the premium retailer in that luxury home furnishing space. And actually, what I managed to do is I kept going back to John Lewis and saw whichever brands were there. And so now my mix is 60 to 70% private label and 30% international brands. And so I wrote to a lot of these brands, some came through. And so now we stock some of these brands that you have at John Lewis in our stores in Kenya.
Amazing, amazing story. Some one wise man told me, always invest in things that you are in control, right? Do not invest in something someone else controlling, right? So exactly when you really hearing your story, you move away from investing in someone else controlling to what you're controlling, right? So pretty much you building your own,
Yeah.
own success.
Yeah, because I left a lot of energy on the table trying to convince others of how to run this thing, because when you're dependent on a retailer, right, you have to try and explain to them, guys, you need to merchandise this like this, you need to promote it like this. So I had no control of the process between shelf to customer,
Mm.
which was in hindsight stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
um, but I had to learn some way, right?
yeah.
And so yeah, but I'm still very grateful. The owner of that retailer taught me a lot.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget the lessons he left me with. So I learned retail because of him. And yeah, like you said, Jam, try and control your destiny. Don't
Yeah.
don't leave it in someone else's hands.
Absolutely. And you mentioned before that you also bought a few hotels as well. I'm super fascinated how, someone in homewares and, the hardcore retailing sector can pivot into the hospitality space. Can you tell us about that journey?
So I'd love to, but let me tell you. So when I started the trading business, so one thing we've always done is we've never kept at holdco level or at group level, we've never kept our eggs in one basket. Okay, we've always done multiple businesses. Um, and the reason for that being this, right? Anything can go belly up in any business. Okay. And so anyway, when I started my career again at 21, I wanted to get into real estate development as well.
Yeah.
Because I came from that real estate ethos. So I gave you the story of my trading business, home furnishing business. At the same time, what I did is I was on a flight with a friend, and he told me about a piece of land he's looking to acquire in Nairobi. And so I was like, okay, amazing. I'd seen now how beautiful projects in London are. And so I came back home, I spoke to my father. I was like, look, I want to get into development. He's like, okay, great, go find the money to do it. So I said, okay, look, I need a little bit of help. I need help to raise money for the land. I have a partner who I could go in with. So I again went in with a partner
Yeah.
to acquire one piece of land. But this is where the story got interesting. The whole plan was we pick up one land and we were going to pick up the land next to it to make the project interesting for both of us to do.
Yeah.
Now we went and acquired this one piece of land, and while we just completed on this, the agent comes back and tells us the seller for the second one is not interested
Oh.
in selling. So I was like, oh, great. So look, I was like, okay, fine. I was like, put me in touch with the seller. So he was an old army general, and I called him. I was like, out of respecting Kenya, you say this thing called waziri, which means, not your highness, but you called him out of respect. I was like, look, can I come and meet you, please? And so he met me at a coffee shop, and we just got talking. And I was like, look, you wanted to sell this land, now you don't want to sell it. You, of course, know the value of it because before it was single family homes,
Yeah.
and now it become multi-dwelling high rises. So I told him, look, our vision was to bring a landmark project to Kenya. We want to do luxury apartments. We want to do all the facilities, gym, swimming pool, co-working space, so on. He was like, wow, amazing. So I was like, why didn't you want to sell it? So it actually turned out, he's like, Jaynish, I don't need the money. This was the first land I ever got from my hard work. So I was like, okay, amazing. This guy has sentiment to it, right? That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
reason he doesn't want to sell. And he's like, so I was like, look, why don't we do this? Okay. You have 4 children. I'll give you 4 apartments in this project. So you'll be the first investor here. He's like, okay, I didn't think about that. So he went away. I went away. A couple of weeks later, I called him. I was like, look, Mzee means elder. Did you think about what I said? He's like, look, Janish, I've thought about it. It's very interesting. But he's like, I still need a little bit of cash. So I was like, fine, I'll give, what cash do you want? So made that happen. And started that journey. It's where we now live in Kenya today. So we live in the penthouse in that building.
Oh, wow.
But that in itself was a journey. So anyway, so now I didn't have capital in the pocket, right? I had the money I'd got from my father or the family to pick up the first land. The second one we just structured like this. Now we developed this whole project. And thankfully, the market in Kenya was hot at the time. So we literally made our brochures and started pitching like
Off the plan.
and off the plan, right? And
Yeah.
and we had approval to do 47 apartments. Again, I went and managed to get approval to take this building 13 floors, which was not done before in Nairobi. Um, and I knew that once we sold 20 units, we were good to go. We had money to do it and we were good to go. And yeah, we sold 15 units in like 3
Wow.
months. And started the project. Went through a lot of aggro along the way because I made certain mistakes on contracts with contractors and so on. But long story short, yeah, we delivered the first project. So that was my first hands-on experience of acquiring land to delivering a project.
And were
We
you
then
doing
went
this
on.
in parallel with your trading company?
Yeah.
And how
While
did you
doing
kind
that,
of juggle those two? Because they seem like both quite time intensive projects.
yeah. So look, I don't know. Like I told you, right? Like now there's that definition of entrepreneur, but from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, it's always ideas and fixing random problems in my head, right? Like I'm always scanning the different businesses in my head. And I was like, yeah, where's the issue? Like, what's to be done? How do we grow this? How do we push this? So, but then how I used to balance my time was the moment I wake up every day and I go down, have a coffee and whatever, I always write down the key points for the day, and basically I just have to write down where does my core attention of today need to go.
Yep.
And so that's how I did it, Honestly, it became so even in that project, the contractor, what happened with the contractor? The contractor started stalling. And what was meant to be a 2.5 year project ended up being a 4 year project. Okay.
Wow.
And 2.5 years in, all the guys now we'd sold to off plan started calling me like, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? And so I was trying to like manage expectations on one side and kick the contractor's ass on the other side. Because you can't even kicking out a contractor halfway is a big disaster. Okay. We even contemplated that. It was tough. But then what I did is like, look, I started my day with trainers, jeans, and I went to site every day. And so I was spending 4 hours a day on site in the morning, just going around like snagging, fix this, fix that. At the time, I went and brought in a British project manager who was still a friend of mine, and there was a new software we had, and we literally had a snag report of every apartment and literally micromanaged this thing for the contractor.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, but it's just
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I just try and give my attention to wherever it's required and try and balance the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So what happened to your real estate business after construction project?
So while that was going on, my brother came back from college, and we were doing a home upgrade, and he was facing a nightmare sorting out the kitchen. So he comes to myself and my father saying, "I want to bring an international kitchen brand to Kenya." So we're like, "Fine, go bring it." So he goes and writes to a bunch of brands, like 6, 7 brands. We didn't take him too seriously. He was 21. We were like, what will he do,
Yeah.
Comes back to us 2 weeks later. He's like, there's some Italians coming to meet us in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, okay, fine, great. This Italian company comes to Kenya. And at the time, we knew one of the big architects in Kenya. So we set up a meeting with that architect. And so my brother goes to this architect and says, look, I have this kitchen brand. Would you be interested in your project? And he's got like 5 villas he's building. So the architect's a British guy, eccentric guy. He's like, fine, if you can give me designs by tomorrow afternoon, I can consider it. So my bro goes and tells the Italians, look, you guys have till tomorrow afternoon to give me designs if you want this project and if you want me to be your agent in Kenya. They made it happen somehow, got the
Wow.
designs, took it to the architect. Architect seemed to be in a good mood that day and awarded him the project.
Wow.
And so now he's got this project, no idea of how this brand is, no idea of how the kitchen business runs. And went and took again 1,000 square foot space and set up this kitchen business now. And so we had the showroom for kitchens. So fast forward, my vision was always real estate and how do you backward integrate or forward integrate. Okay, so all the businesses I do today are linked to real estate.
Mhm.
Fast forward that business journey. Today, it's a company called Kitchens and Beyond, and we represent about 10 international brands in building materials. So we do kitchens, wardrobes, tiles, sanitary ware. Um, yeah, and so my brother ran that for a while. Then brought in a strategic partner. Now sits on the board. I stepped out when he brought the strategic partner in. So that building material company is running. Now, again, another story within this, right? So in 2016, when we had the kitchen showroom going, we always, I always believe in relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships can take you places, and so we always treated our suppliers well. We always, whenever they came to Kenya, hosted them for dinner, tried to build a personal connect. Understand these guys, right?
Mm.
And so this Italian guy's the head of the global business had a very good relationship with me and my brother. So he calls my brother in 2016 saying, look, the Dubai distributor is making a mess of things. Would you guys be interested?
Wow.
So my bro's like, okay, fine, let me think about it. And my brother tells me, right? Jaynish Dubai is available. I was like, okay, great. And this goes back to Richard Branson's thing, right? Where he says, look, if an opportunity knocks your door, even if you don't know how to do it,
Yeah.
say yes and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I told him, yeah, tell the Italians we're interested, right? But we need some time, buy time. So now I had this kitchen brand that I knew was amazing because we'd had 3 years experience with the brand, right? but I had no idea of how Dubai works. Just knew Dubai is this illusion of Dubai. Wow. So we were doing this. Now, while we were doing this, while this opportunity was on the table, one of my childhood, not even a friend, this guy went to school with me. He was running a glass business in Kenya, selling glass for projects. And I was negotiating on buying glass for my building that I'm doing right now, that I was doing at the time, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him on the phone, and we were just having a chat. And then at the end of the call, he's like, "Look, Jaynish, by the way, this is my last project. I'm handing this over to my brother and I'm moving to Dubai." So I was like, "Why are you moving to Dubai, bro? You're doing so well." He's like, "Look, my wife's from Thailand. She doesn't want to live in Kenya. So I'm going." So I was like, "Okay, look, bro, I have this kitchen brand that wants to do a showroom in Dubai. Would you be interested?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't mind." So I was okay, come to the showroom. So he came to the showroom. He's like, "Wow, good brand." He's like, "Look, I know this other family in Dubai that's super well established. Let's go to Dubai and explore this thing." So 2 weeks later, I'm on a flight to Dubai.
Wow.
Um, and it was me and this guy. And today we're still partners and we're running this business in Dubai. But
Amazing.
It seems like so many of the opportunities and experiences that you've had have come from your keen negotiation. And so I want to understand from you, what are your key lessons, or like what would you teach about negotiation? Because it's clearly something you're very good at.
so I don't know if I'm good or not, but I think ultimately, a negotiation should be where it's a win-win, you know? And even before it becomes a win-win, it's very important to understand what's the opposite person want, right?
Mhm.
If you can figure that out, then that gives you the solution.
Mm.
It unlocks the solution, right? And so, and of course, negotiations. We did this at HBS, right? Where I didn't know what a Zopa was, I didn't know what a BATNA was, but subconsciously I was doing all of this, right?
Yep.
Uh, Harvard just made it very theoretical and step by step. So I think for me, it was always about the most important negotiations that I was part of in terms of the larger ones. It was just understanding what the opposite person
Mhm.
wanted and how do I
Mhm.
frame this, or how do I make this work in a way where he knows he's getting something good out of it, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so I think a lot of it is that, where I think a lot of the times people don't feel heard, people don't feel like their point of view is being respected. People feel they're being demeaned or bulldozed. Um, and that doesn't work ultimately. And Jam knows me well. I also go in with a very clear positive intent, and based on core values of integrity and trust. I don't want to go there trying to cheat someone or mislead someone, because I'm a fundamental believer in karma. What we do in this world will 360 degrees come back to us, or in
Totally.
some way, form, or the other. So if I'm going in with a good intent, of a positive intent, and trying to make a win-win deal happen, then I think that's already a great starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Super valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe share your hotel story, because that's a really good story, right?
It's amazing. So again, 2019, early 2019, a private banker brings us these two historic hotels in Kenya, asking us if we're interested. Right? It's one's called Fairmont the Norfolk, and one's Fairmont Masai Mara. Now, Fairmont the Norfolk was started in 1907. And it's a super historic property in Kenya. It's where the colonial government used to sit.
Wow.
Uh, it's got a lot of history to it. And of course, I definitely want you guys to come one day, come to Kenya one day, and I'll show you physically, right? And so again, it was beyond our imagination that firstly we couldn't even afford it. So we're like, forget it. But I spoke to a friend of mine. Who's a large hotelier, and asked him if he would be interested, and he said, "Yeah, let's look at it." And so anyway, so 2019, we went through this whole long-winded negotiation, and it was actually it was being sold by Al Walid bin Talal of Saudi.
Yeah.
He's the guy who, remember, he gifted his daughter Citibank shares.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so he was offloading certain Africa assets, and so I got into the negotiating room with one of my partners who's a large hotel group. They have 200 hotels globally. But then what happened is we got the keys one day before COVID hit.
Wow.
In March 2020. Um, and then found ourselves with like, okay, great, we own this hotel, but there's no
No,
tourism, right?
no guess.
No guests. And so while we panicked, we didn't really panic because we're like, okay, look, there's always a solution, right? So the first thing we did was we called the bankers. We're like, guys, we have two options here. Either you keep the keys or we keep the keys. But either way, there's no customer. And if you keep the keys, then you can stand there with the security guard.
Yeah.
Because hotels were a ghost town, right? Like
Yep.
March 2020, imagine, right? We were all trying to figure out what the hell to do, right? Like, can I be near this guy? Can I not? Like, what's going on, right? And so that's how the hotel journey started. March, the banks were like, look, well, there's no way we know how to run this hotel. You do what you have to do. We'll give you the time you need, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so anyway, the hotel had a mess in the balance sheet. We managed to use COVID as a way to fix that. Um, did a little bit of property improvement with those properties. Uh, and yeah, they're thankfully both running well today.
So this is a gaming lodge sort of thing.
Yeah, so when you say gaming, today hunting in Kenya is not
Yeah,
allowed.
yeah.
But Masai Mara is like the most famous game park in the world. And we're known for the Great Migration.
Nice.
Um,
We have to
and
go there.
100%, bro, 100%, you guys have to come. And yeah, so one of the properties is in Nairobi, which is a city hotel, and then one is in the Masai Mara. And so
Mm.
actually, COVID, what I was doing, I was in the Mara with no guests, but I was cooking on my own. I was going on game drives,
Living your
and
best
so
life.
yeah, bro, it was like the simplest life, man. And I always laugh today. Like I was like, people always ask me, what if Dubai doesn't work out? What if this doesn't? I was like, fine, I'll go back to the
Yeah.
Mara, man. I'll grow my vegetables. I'll chill there, and I'll still be okay, man.
And I'm always fascinated, with these like old cultural, like significant sites. How do you balance like, innovating on their like business model to bring them back to life and also like keeping that heritage?
Spot on. So look, it's firstly, it's always about respecting the heritage, right?
Mm.
And we don't want to be the ones to come down in history for destroying that, right? Like this guy went and killed 100-year legacy or
Yeah.
100-year history. And so for us, actually, the main thing I cared about with these hotels was what I told my friend, my partner. I was like, bro, I just hope this thing's not falling apart internally. And so the first thing I did was got a structural engineer and an MEP guy and told them, bro, go check this. Are we okay here? And then yeah, that's it, man. You can these trophy assets or legacy properties, you already know the good bit of it, and now you can work backwards and see how do you make the guest experiences better, right? So we
Yeah.
started with the common areas, we started with the nicer bar, nicer restaurant. Um, Now we have a plan to improve the rooms, and it's all in phases, man.
Amazing, man. You're such an entrepreneur, right? Like anything you can't do.
No,
No,
I wouldn't say anything, but I think you can do anything you put your mind to, you
absolutely.
know.
Yeah, yeah. You have a great
And it goes
example.
back, to a gem like what Dylan asked me, right? Like I've also been asking myself of where's my passion?
Yeah,
Mm.
What do I want to wake up and do every day?
yeah.
And so it ultimately just goes back to something within real estate.
So, Janish, I like to. I mean, this is so fascinating your conversation, and I like to know what's your conversation in like a family gathering, like because you guys are so entrepreneurial, right? Do you talk anything apart from business? Because that
Yeah. So,
excites you, right?
yeah,
Really,
yeah,
like
of
talking
course.
about business.
100%. Even my mom, she was in the business and now she's not, but she always wants to keep an eye on what's happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um and Yeah, look, so we do, but can I be honest, it doesn't necessarily lead to business all the time, but it's always about ideas.
Yeah,
Mm.
ideas.
um
Yep.
it's always about breaking down different businesses. So to answer your question, do we talk about anything besides business? Yes, of course we do, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We'll talk about life, what we're going through, um, hobbies. But honestly, bro, it might sound bad, but it always somehow leads to some kind of business
yeah, yeah.
idea or
Opportunities, right?
business conversation, or
Yeah,
business conversation, or discussing global matters.
yeah.
Politics. So politics is a big topic. Because I always believe politics and business goes hand in hand. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because in any economy you're in, if you can go in line with the government's vision,
Yeah,
then a lot of the time you're kind of uh, making your life a lot easier.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, we discuss a bunch of topics, man. And I'm grateful and fortunate that my parents are very forward thinking. Um, my dad's always trying to study what's 10 years ahead of our time.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah.
And I want to know, like, how important do you think international exposure was to you? Because it sounds like a lot of what you've done has been ideas brought from overseas, concepts brought from, different educational institutions. I want to understand how important do you think that kind of exposure was for you?
Yeah, so bro, it was incredible, right? The two most defining moments in my life was walking into Millfield boarding school and walking into Harvard Business School,
Yeah.
at different stages in my life.
Yeah.
So coming back to international exposure is everything, right? It just makes you think that actually you're not that relevant. We take ourselves too seriously, right? We're in
Yeah.
that cocoon of ours, in our playground, thinking we're the king of the castle. And then when you go out there, you realize, mate, you're nothing. And it's amazing because it humbles you, right? And I think it's very important, like, to stay grounded, and not take anything for granted. So that's amazing. And then also, like, I'll give you an example. In HBS, some of the stories, man, some of the journeys, like, it's phenomenal, right? It's just like you have people who come from huge legacy businesses. And then I had a guy I was staying with who lived in a favela, man, and built a huge online company in Brazil.
Yeah, I know what
Um,
you're talking about.
yeah, I don't know if I can name him, but what a
But that's
guy,
okay.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
What a guy, right? Like, and so that's just, it's so inspiring, right? That um firstly you learn different cultures. Today
Yeah.
business is international, right? And it goes back to my negotiation point. It's very important to understand how different people want to
Yeah.
do business.
mm,
The
mm,
Chinese do business very differently to the way the Indians do it.
Mm.
mm,
The French do business very differently to the way the Germans do it.
mm, mm. Do you
And so
see
that
much
was very helpful.
difference? Do you see much difference how people do business in Kenya to Dubai?
Oh, completely, bro, completely.
What are
So,
the key differentiations?
so, uh, and I'd love to keep talking to you guys, but my journey in Dubai as well. Like, see, Dubai is a melting pot.
Mhm.
Dubai or UAE out of 12 million people, there's only 10% which is Emirati.
Okay.
90% is foreign, right?
Mhm.
So it's literally a whole array of cultures. Now, what I found about Dubai compared to Kenya, it's like family business background or long-term business thinking, relationship building first, then getting into business, getting into Dubai is transactional.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Which initially I found really difficult
Mhm.
uh, to comprehend. You're literally in a room in a meeting and guys are talking, oh, let's do this deal, let's do that deal. And me in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't even know you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to understand, obviously, you were surrounded by entrepreneurs growing up. Were there any other mentors or influences that you had other than family?
So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I had a mentor per se.
Mm.
I think I was blessed in that the most important mentor in my life was the grandfather on my mother's side.
Mm.
He because my grandfather on my father's side passed on when I was very young, and more so than my father even. My father's been more day to day, but
Yeah.
some of the things that my grandfather told me on my mother's side have always stayed with me. He kept things very simple. Um, he always told me to keep my focus on real estate. He always told me, look, Janish, you're going to be good at this. Um, it's something within you. Just go with it. And I don't know. For me, I respect elders. I feel they have that extra wisdom that can unlock many things, right? So I've never gone down the definition of mentors, but I also live my life thinking I can learn from everyone, you know? And I think experience is the best teacher. So anyone I feel who's got a bit more experience than me, there's always a learning, man.
Absolutely.
So what's next for Janish? Like, so what's your plan in Dubai right now?
So I came in a year ago to try and figure out if this is a place I see myself living in, okay? So one of the reasons I wanted to leave Kenya was I feel I was a little bit static there. Always wanted to be in a more first world country, first world economy, more fast-paced place. And because of this international education and upbringing, I felt I wanted to be in a more international city. Now, I couldn't make that happen so quickly because of my day-to-day responsibilities in Kenya. But again, OPM, and one of the things at OPM was this coaching. We were given a personal coach. Personal coaching and my LG experiences helped me see that this is possible and actually made it practically possible for me on the ground. So last year when I came in January, it wasn't to move here. It was to spend a couple of weeks. I used to spend 3 or 4 months a year in Kenya, and then the balance in, sorry, 3, 4 months in Dubai, balance in Kenya. But I knew deep down I wanted to move here or be in a fast-paced place. So I spent 2 weeks, 3 weeks, saw that things are fairly smoothly running, touch wood. And then I just asked myself, hey, what if I just told people I've moved here? It's a different mindset, but when you change the narrative in your mind
Yeah.
and when you change the narrative out there, it changes a lot, right? So I said, fine. Now. So in February last year, I'm telling everyone I moved to Dubai. And the whole of February, I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So it was definitely around real estate. So what I did is I started looking at land opportunities. I went and must have seen 20 different plots of land. My idea being I'll pick up a small piece of land and do a project because this is what I know how to do. Very quickly realized Dubai is much larger in ticket size, much more competitive. And so I said, look, let me set up a family office or create a family office where I know two things. One is I'll have to run my businesses from this place.
Yeah.
And secondly, it'll give me an understanding of real estate here a lot better. I went and then got the licensing required to be able to work with all the developers. And I went and registered with with about 15 developers in Dubai. Now, Dubai is unique in that 70% of development is done by government-owned companies.
Wow.
And so I saw great opportunities in just investing in them. So I bought my first apartment here in 2019. It did well. I don't know if you guys have been to Dubai recently.
Yeah, probably about a year ago. I was there, maybe 18 months ago.
Okay, so I'd love for you guys to come. You know,
You
Dubai
love
keeps
to.
changing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I did is I started visiting all these projects because of the kitchen business. We had a good indication of what's happening, but COVID changed Dubai. The way Dubai handled COVID and the bounce back it had from COVID made Dubai now a long-term destination for people. That and the government policies they brought in. So what I tell everyone, Dubai's got the luxury of the East and the structure of the West. And most secure place in the world, you know. And so yeah, so coming back to my journey, registered with all these developers, started figuring out what they're doing, started scouting out investment opportunities, and this was all actually just to invest myself. Made a few investments, and then quickly realized, wow, I could scale this as well.
Yeah.
And not necessarily scale it, but what I realized is in Dubai or anywhere in the world, if you're negotiating for one apartment, it's very different to try and negotiating for five,
Yeah.
right? And so I started basically having this discussion with other families or other business partners I've had and other business people that, guys, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I foresee. But if we came in together, then I can definitely be able to get more out. Because even for the developer's point of view, right?
Yep.
They'd much rather deal with one person to take 5 units than 5 people to take 5 units, right? And so, yeah, so fast forward that journey, and we're very actively doing multiple things in Dubai real estate now, from an
Amazing.
investing point of view, and as we go along, hopefully into the development point of view as well.
Well, very excited to come and check out some of your developments. It sounds very exciting. But we have a lot of listeners who are young entrepreneurs. And so I'd love to hear from you. What is the advice that you would have for a young person who's about to start their business journey?
So it was quite funny that one of my nieces called me the other day, and she's like, "Dude, I'm confused what to do. My parents are saying I should become an accountant and study chartered accounting." And so I heard her out for 15 minutes, right? I was like, "Just talk to me." I was like, "Tell me what you've been doing at university." She's studying business management, and so I was like, "Which modules have you enjoyed?" Uh, and the reason I'm saying all of this is, so she came back to me and said, "Look, I really enjoyed marketing. I've loved HR." So I was telling her, "Why the hell are you then thinking of becoming an accountant, right?" So my point being, some people sometimes you live in this narrative that this is the best way to do it, but a lot of it is within you, right? What do you enjoy doing? Um, out of your education, within your degree or within your initial education, you'll know what subjects you liked, right? Even at school, you know the homework you were dreading or that teacher you were dreading to meet, and then you knew that the class you were excited to go to, right? There was always one. And so I always say to young people, or I would love to say more, that try and do that initially, because you never know, you'll make a career out of that, and there's nothing wrong in that, because you'll wake up excited about what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's fantastic
So
advice.
I left her with two things. I was like, look, marketing is the future. If you can't market, if you can't understand marketing, then business means nothing, you know? And I started asking her silly questions like, what's your favorite coffee? And she mentioned Starbucks. So I was like, go and spend 2 hours at Starbucks, but thinking differently now. I was like, you're only drinking a coffee. Why are you
Yeah.
drinking Starbucks coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can make this at home.
very
Yeah.
true.
So yeah, just to answer your question, try and follow your passion. I always say journal. I think journaling is very important. Just write down your thoughts, because that makes it a lot easier to try and understand who you are.
Hmm. So that's the interesting one. So when you say journaling, you write what comes to your mind, or you just noted down things when on the day. Like how do you work on journaling?
So I do journaling for multiple things. Okay, firstly, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I try and journal to unpack.
All right.
Okay. And I feel that once written down, it makes life a lot easier. Like you unpack, because an overthinking mind is going to have a lot of crazy thoughts as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when you unpack, it just makes life so much easier. That actually realize, okay, wow, this wasn't actually that big a deal, you know? So I use it for that unpacking mechanism when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then I start my day every morning just writing down the ideas for the day or my key focus areas for the day. Um, let's say I'm trying to analyze a deal, I'm trying to do financial number crunching. I write it down.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think putting pen to paper is still the most amazing thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no structure to my diaries, there's no structure to my journaling. There's just a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
A brain dump.
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. Like sometimes when you list down things on your head because you think this it's going to be a really really busy day. I got so much on, but when you write it down, the items, then you realize I can knock this down in 2 minutes and I can finish this, and then it's not that busy. I can manage my time quite easily, right? So yeah, it's good, really good advice.
Yeah, and I do this across the board, right? Like if I want to keep a party, write down your guest list, just all these random things I do, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, just going back to our childhood, right? Pen and paper.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
And so I
Basics.
told I told I told my niece the same thing. Tomorrow, go to W.H. Smith, get a pen, get a notebook.
100%. And Janish, I want to understand, now that we've spoken a lot about your journey, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Wow. So I think I still feel I'm fairly young to be putting myself in that legacy.
Yeah.
Long way to go.
Legacy is a heavy word, right?
Yeah.
In especially because of who we feel leave legacies. But I think for me, it's that balance of achieving success while being kind
Mm,
and while being impactful. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
and I've been repeating this a lot recently. In that people won't remember your possessions. People won't remember even the businesses you may have built, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
absolutely.
mm,
And
I think that's
so and so if I can somehow impart that good feeling within others, then I think for me that's going to supersede most things in life. That's true. And one more thing, I always keep asking myself, what's your purpose? Right? Is it to build these businesses, make money, and so on? But very quickly, I think ultimately I want my purpose is to give back,
yeah,
uh, to make impact to lives. And I think similar to what you guys are doing now, right? You're having all these conversations with all these people that hopefully some takeaways from these will change people's lives, right?
absolutely.
That's our purpose, right? Yeah.
No, amazing. I didn't even know that, but yeah, and I come from a country like Kenya where we've seen poverty, bro. Like
Mm,
still 60-70% of people are below the poverty line, below $1 a day.
mm.
Right?
Amazing.
I'm here talking about boarding school and this and that,
Yeah.
but these guys don't have that. And you guys see that with Sri Lanka, you see that with
Mm,
India,
mm.
probably in Australia as well, but Australia is probably
Yeah.
a little bit similar to the UAE.
Mm.
Because of controlled immigration, they pick and choose who comes in, right? But I think I like there's so much to be done.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And Janish, this has been a fascinating conversation. I feel like honestly, there's so
So
many
much
different
energy.
aspects of your life that we could continue talking about, but we'll leave it there because I think that's a fantastic place to wrap it up. But I want to ask you one last question. Looking back on this journey we've spoken about, and given that your definition of success was largely around feeling successful in both your business and your personal life, do you feel successful?
Look, I wake up with gratitude, okay?
Mm,
Even I wouldn't say I feel successful all day, every day, okay? But what I try and do is I try and always go back to gratitude.
yeah,
And I think when you try and be grateful for what you have, then I think that's more than enough. Because
yeah.
there's no real measure of success. So to me personally, I don't feel I'm successful at all. Because what am I comparing that to? I'm comparing
Absolutely.
that to maybe jam at OPM, right?
You can compare to me and say very successful. Yeah.
No, not at all. But you know what I mean, right? I think there's no measure, there's no direct measure on
Yeah.
success. And if you guys have it, I'd love to know.
Well, we're on the quest for success. Once we're there, we'll let you know, Janish. Janish, this has been a fantastic conversation. But before we let you go, I've been trying to jot down what I think are the core traits, which I think have led to what I would say is quite a successful life. And I'd like to share them. The first one is you're an avid learner. And, throughout this journey we spoke about, you've always been curious. You've always been in that learning mindset. And you mentioned it explicitly. You said, I can learn from anywhere or anyone. And I think that's a really important trait, is to have that almost humility to say, I don't know everything, and learn from every single source that you can. Take that knowledge from anywhere. And I think that's also come from your vast array of experience. Being in different countries, always learning, looking at, this store's doing this, I'm going to go and implement that. I think that's been a really core part of your success. The next one is, I'm not sure how to phrase it. Maybe it's communicator or negotiator. I think you're fantastic at understanding people, what drives them and what they need, and making a deal out of that. And I think that's a incredible skill to have. And I'll definitely say you're ways to mastering it. And the last one is hustle. You always took opportunities and you went all in on those opportunities. And you mentioned a Richard Branson quote there. When an opportunity knocks on your door, you have to go after it, even if you don't know what you're doing. And I think that really sums up working across different industries, you took those opportunities and hustled hard to get them.
Yeah, and Jaynish, knowing you for last 4 years, what I'm really realizing. I mean, again, by the way, I didn't know this story, right? I knew Jaynish like maybe 3-4 years ago. You're inviting us to Kenya. Now you're inviting us to Dubai. So that the guy is always generous, and he's generous with his time mainly. Like every time you wanted to have a chat with you always have time. You're the guy, never rush, always listen to other person, and give that time generously. So that also bring your relationship skills, right? Like you really earn other persons. We learn about trust, right? And then you really empathize on the other person, really listen, and you have that amazing capability. And I think that really one of the key traits that you have for your success. And yeah, it's amazing conversation, right? Many of the things that you mentioned in this story I didn't know, right? So it's really nice
Yeah.
to spend some time and get to know you, and hopefully share this with others, and them to know Jaynish better, right?
No, guys, thank you so much. I'm super grateful for all the kind words. Some I agree, some I don't, and I don't in the most humble way, where you're building me up to more than is. But I'm very grateful. No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Jaynish, if people want to find out a bit more information about you or connect with you, where's the best place for them to do that?
LinkedIn, Instagram. So recently, I had to open up my Instagram. Oh, I didn't have to, but I feel it was okay to do so.
It's big in Dubai, right?
And
Instagram.
massive,
Yeah.
massive. Dubai takes personal branding on like to steroids.
I bet.
Um, and so I come from a culture and background where even your neighbor can't know what you do. And here you are, like putting yourself out of your comfort zone and talking about what you do. Um, but yeah, look, I think you have to pivot, and you have to try and find a way to blend yourself into the ecosystem you're in. And so
Absolutely. Well, we'll
yeah.
put the links to your social media down below. And Jaynish, thank you so much. And for our listeners, if you've taken something out of today's episode, it would mean the world if you can like and subscribe, and so we can get to more and more ears and share the wonderful stories. And you can see all of our episodes over on our website, thequestforsuccesspodcast.com. With that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.